The title of this video is Your Soul Alignment to Clear Hidden Blocks. When things are growing great in a person's life, they like to take credit for what they did to bring it about. But when things don't go the way they'd like, they're usually at a loss to explain it, and they're quite ready to direct blame somewhere else. And yet, you've heard one of the most fundamental forces affecting your life is that your life is created by your deepest inner beliefs. And this is a tough teaching because, especially when things aren't going in your favor, you often don't see the underlying belief behind the condition. And so it's hard to believe that your beliefs could actually be creating your reality. And in fact, you even don't want to believe it. And you might say to yourself, surely I wouldn't be doing something that causes me pain and loss. Well, despite this conundrum, you somehow think that you must be at least some kind of a participant or co-creator in some way in creating your experiences. You just don't know how. And what makes this subject even more challenging is figuring out what your real beliefs are. What's causing your conditions? Because you can actually believe something consciously that is in opposition to what is in your subconscious. And in those cases, the subconscious usually wins. In this video, you're going to explore the subject of your beliefs and your judgments and find out how to be clear and aligned with a positive outcome that you want. So the guidance on this video is a process. Although it's not technically a meditation, it does require your attention and focus. If your life is, in fact, a reflection of your inner beliefs, then it would seem to be pretty important to explore the subject and understand what those beliefs are. With a conflicting subconscious program running, you may have a conscious stated goal, but because of your subconscious belief programs, they could be something that's secretly pursuing a secondary goal that runs completely counter to what you wanted. Much of the time, you aren't even aware of your inner beliefs or where they came from. And we usually call these your blind spots. Well, these blind spots were formed at times in ways that you were usually unaware of creating them. So, for instance, most of these things were created when you were a child. You either experience them yourself or you witness somebody else experiencing something. And so you've completely forgotten the event, and now that you become an adult, and yet you absorbed a great many of your ideas and beliefs when you were young. As a matter of fact, your self-image, which holds your deepest imaging beliefs about yourself, were formed in childhood. And it has become the program running your life, even now, below the surface of your everyday consciousness. As you experience traumas and difficulties, or you observe them happening around you, you form conclusions. And those conclusions become stored away in the deeper parts of your mind. But those choices affect your decisions and your reactions later in life. For instance, if we're with regard to money or maybe relationships, you could have secret subconscious beliefs that love or money only come to special people, or maybe certain people who were luckily born into some successful family. Or maybe love or money only comes with difficulty and with struggles. Or you don't deserve much love or a lot of money. I think you could readily imagine how holding any one of these beliefs could contribute to blocking you or undermining you in those areas. If any of these common belief programs are housed in a person's subconscious mind, then that is what ends up being energized, created, and attracted in a person's life. So the question is, how did these beliefs get in somebody's mind and not in everybody's mind? Well, it's simply the fact everyone grows up and lives life in different circumstances from other people. But what determines what you experience now is what you cling to and what you hold on to that is still in your subconscious mind. And the difficult situations that have emotional content are what are most strongly embedded in your subconscious. So it's not actually the situations themselves that cause all of the beliefs and conclusions that you formed. It's actually how you evaluate them, how you interpret them, what you conclude about them. And that determines how you direct your life force in the future to create and attract circumstances in your life. So if you can orient all the factors to creating what you want instead of what you don't want, then you can create a pretty wonderful life. Now, you've probably heard the stories of people rising out of difficulties and having wonderful lives. So this underscores the fact that negative and unhappy circumstances may be motivators in some cases for people to change and to make improvements. But it's not correct or in your best interest to think that your current circumstances are your destiny, or they are forcing you to remain in these circumstances. One of the first and important steps is to take a look at your situations and get in touch with what could be contributing to the creation of those circumstances, because there's a cause for every effect. So let's start by taking a look at what's going on in your life. I'd like you to pick one of four main areas to work on where there's some lack in your life. So it could be a money issue, or it could be a relationship issue, a health issue, or spiritual issue. So pick one, and once you've selected it, list one thing about this issue that you would like to see in your life in a positive way. For instance, if you choose health, you would say, well, I'd like to see myself healthy, vital, and full of energy, doing the things that I love to do. Or if your health is pretty good, but you might like to say, well, I'd like to see myself enjoying life, doing more good things for my life, and creating and maintaining an excellent health. Now, do something like that with each of the four areas. It'd be a good idea to do at least one of these goals or wants in your life in the money issue, the relationship issue, the health issue, and the spiritual issue. And just formulate one sentence describing what you want. This is really important because a lot of people can tell you what they don't want, but they often don't think about being specific with what they do want. So take an area that you said you would like to see something different in your life and list one thing that you believe about that issue in the way it is in your life now. So, for instance, if you picked health, you would want to know something that you believe about this condition right now. So you might say, well, I believe I inherited genes from my parents and they limit my health. Or you could say, I believe I could or should be doing a lot more things to take better care of myself. That's something I would want. So just list one thing that you believe about the condition that you've chosen to work on right now. And now, to go further, here's another way to ask the question so you can determine some of the beliefs that you have. Bring to mind what you have said you have going on in your life right now with regard to this issue that you want to be better. And ask yourself this question without any judgment, just plain logical observation. What would someone have to believe to create or attract what I am currently experiencing? Now, you may have a couple beliefs that you have regard to your condition. Ask yourself another question with regard to this area that you've looked at. What else would someone have to believe to create and attract this experience? And when you have time, you should do this several more times. Maybe 5 times would be a good number to keep asking to help you get to the underlying beliefs so you can arrive at the core belief of what you hold in your subconscious that's creating and sustaining your situation. It didn't arrive out of nowhere. So you should have at least 3 beliefs that contribute to your issue of lack in your life. Now go back to what you said you would like to have in your life with regard to the same issue and ask the same question. What would someone have to believe to create or attract what you'd like to experience? This helps you identify the beliefs that you have going and the beliefs that would work better for you. It's important, I think, to realize that beliefs are not static or unchangeable. You probably change some of your beliefs all the time, depending on what new information you have and what colors your perceptions or what you value at the time. So one important key to accepting a belief that will bring you what you want is giving yourself permission to have what you want. And you literally do that. You say, I give myself permission. Giving yourself permission is a very powerful force for change. It's even built into our society. We're always looking for permission for something. So here's a few examples of how you look to someone or something else outside of yourself for permission. Putting your hand on a Bible and making a vow, or taking an oath to tell the truth. That's giving yourself permission. Or how about going through an initiation ceremony with some group? Or being presented with an award, or a certificate, or a diploma? Or asking people who have college degrees with lots of letters and names, lots of letters after their name for a recommendation? Asking some kind of a doctor to tell you what to do? Or on a more personal level, asking someone if they love you so you can feel safe to love them back. It's far more important to give yourself permission to be all you can be. For instance, if you have beliefs like, I don't believe that I deserve, or I don't believe I'm talented enough, or I don't think I'm a lucky person, or what you're asking of me is way over my head, or beyond my pay grade, or it's just not my destiny. These are the kinds of beliefs that limit you, obviously. So you must give yourself permission to rise to a higher level. Even if you look to someone else to validate you and help you reach that higher level, you still need to give yourself permission to reach it yourself. So, for instance, you can give yourself a certificate that says, I believe I have the right to. And then you fill that in with whatever you need and want. Then you date it and sign it. There's the often told story about Jim Carrey, the comedic actor, who at the beginning of his career wrote a check to himself for $10 million. And a few years later, that is what he received, and even more. What you call your spiritual evolution is the gradual dissolving away of the beliefs that lead to limitation and lack and pain and suffering. And as you eliminate those, you reveal the essential goodness of your soul that leads to having the fulfillment and the happiness that you want. The judgments you hold reflect the beliefs that form pillars of creation in your life. And you carry many thousands of beliefs about yourself, about the world, about all sorts of topics, about history, about science, about the unseen spiritual worlds that people have told you is true. And your judgments and beliefs are reflected in the form of your complaints, your criticism, your blame, or your praise, your understanding, and acceptance. And all these stem from beliefs which are formed out of your judgments and your fixed opinions and your conclusions about virtually everything, including how good or bad or valuable or you think you are, or another person is, or something else is. Judgments are not quite the same thing as beliefs, although they are related. Judgments may or may not be absolute. In other words, they have investments with strong opinions, but may allow for some flexibility, whereas beliefs are regarded as a fact with a commitment behind them. And that is why they can cause something to manifest or stay in your life, or other things to stay out of your life. You see, beliefs are the forces of manifestation and the forces which sustain whatever has been created. So this includes what you experience in each of those 4 areas that I talked about earlier. And this is why it's important for you to determine what your beliefs are that are causing your current situation and what beliefs you'll need to have to create what you want. Both your judgments and your beliefs hold on to a position. Positions are really just ideas. So they're essentially illusions. Illusions in your mind. And yet you base all aspects of your life on them. And you're convinced that they're all true. What you see and experience is the result of how you perceive things. And perceptions are held in place by your judgments and your beliefs. So, when you release your judgments, you let go of the need to judge, you also release or change your perceptions, which then change or modify your beliefs. And therefore, this affects what you create and attract. So stopping judgments is an important part of your evolutionary process. By stopping judgments, you become more neutral and more peaceful and less attached to or committed to your opinions. This enables you to be more flexible, more understanding, more accepted of people and situations and their beliefs. The challenge with doing this is the mind's strong need to be right. So the mind will defend its positions and beliefs rigorously. In some cases, People have given up their life for their beliefs, even if their beliefs were questionable and not absolute. And you might completely disagree with the beliefs that the person died for. Once you have taken a position, you seal your fate to be confined to the judgments and the parameters of your belief. Now, reflect back to the beliefs that I asked you to identify earlier about some condition of lack in your life. What is sustaining those beliefs? There are self-judgments behind them. What you think and believe about yourself, those are self-judgments. And they usually, typically, include at least some self-doubt, some self-criticism, some self-blame for things that you did or believed or chose in the past. These self-judging mechanisms are self-monitoring. They watch everything that you do. They're always watching. They're actually scrutinizing what you do, and they analyze just about everything that you do, or even what you think. It may also be a voice in your head that says something like, there's something wrong with you. You're different. You always do stupid things. You certainly don't deserve to be loved. You don't deserve anything good. You got what you deserve. You're just not lucky. It's not even God's will for you, so it's not your destiny. So these are all thoughts that are critical inner judges. So this inner judge, which is part of your ego personality, evaluates you and your decisions and your choices. And it thinks it's helping you because it would say it doesn't want you to be wrong or make a mistake. And so it'll criticize you and tell you how imperfect you are, so you'll do better the next time. The judge operates out of your beliefs, and the judging mechanism sets up a rating system that it just makes up. It always manages to find something that doesn't quite live up to the standards that it has set, standards of perfection. And this is due to the fact that the ego, by its nature, is incomplete. It knows something's missing. It doesn't have all the answers. It can't complete the puzzle, but it doesn't know what it is. So no matter how perfect you do something, the ego will still not be satisfied. And it will project the belief that there's something wrong with you. You're defective. You'll never get it because you'll never be perfect. The only exceptions to this critical inner judge are those who have a narcissistic personality disorder or they're sociopathic. In those cases, they have other ego aspects to deal with. They're not off the hook. They just have a whole nother set of things to deal with. But that's actually a fairly small percentage of the population. Because the ego, by its nature, is incomplete, it's always searching for something it doesn't have. It's always looking for a missing piece. It always comes from a place of lack. And therefore, it is always self-critical. Repeat these thoughts in your mind after me and make them your own. I am willing to surrender and release all need for judgments that I need judgments. I surrender and release all judgments that I need judgments. I surrender, release, and dissolve all need to judge myself or anyone. I surrender, release, and dissolve all need to judge myself or anyone. I surrender and release the need to compare myself to anyone else. I surrender and release the need to compare myself to anyone else. I surrender and release the need to be right. And this is a really important one. I want you to repeat it again. I surrender and release the need to be right. So if you have a need to be right, you can ask yourself, where is that coming from? It's some kind of a recording in your mind, a voice, or it's some aspect of the ego personality that came to that conclusion somewhere along your evolutionary path. And it really believes it because it believes that if you are right, it will be more safe and secure. And that's what's driving it. The biggest drive the ego has is to be safe and secure at all costs. Now, the ego cannot be fixed by trying to make adjustments or trying to be more perfect or giving it additional information. It is incomplete by its very nature. Why? Because all it has to go on is what it gathers through the 5 major senses. So it doesn't have all the information it needs. So in order to deal with this structure and its beliefs, you request the soul to merge into the ego and assimilate it and integrate into it. In this way, the ego, in a sense, becomes healed, rather than the approach that many philosophies teach to kill it. Good luck trying to do that. And I've known a number of advanced meditators who've been trying unsuccessfully to kill the ego for decades. If there's one thing it knows how to do is survive and defend itself. And the more you try to kill it, the more it digs in, the more it resists. However, the soul merge process is very different. It's a soothing, welcoming, healing, softer, much faster process. And it's much more gentle, and it's also loving, and it brings to the ego what it wants. It wants to be loved. It wants to be safe. It wants to be secure. It wants to feel complete. And the only way that's possible is with the soul. So the best way to initiate the soul merge process is by compassionately embracing the beliefs that do not support what you want. So this would include the beliefs that you identified earlier about certain conditions that are lacking in some way in your life. The soul is only capable of unfolding goodness. That's its nature. Sometimes I refer to the soul as essential goodness. It's made out of love. It's made out of light. And it's also complete, and it has many other wonderful qualities. So when you merge that into your belief universe, only good can result and emerge. So now repeat this thought after me and make it your own. I invite the highest enlightened awareness of the soul to merge into all of my beliefs. I invite the highest enlightened awareness of my soul to merge into all of my beliefs. Now, what happens when the soul integrates into all of your beliefs? Your perspectives change. You become more clear, more present in the present moment. You become more understanding, more acceptant. The soul merge process reclaims your life force energy that the ego has been using to sustain its distorted beliefs. You see, all of your beliefs are actually composed of life force energy. When you merge the soul into the belief, it releases the energy that was bound up in the false and limiting belief. So you actually have more life to put into the positive creation in your life. And that reintegrates back into you to utilize to sustain the beliefs that lead to greater goodness, greater happiness, greater enjoyment, greater fulfillment, greater abundance in all ways. Once your illusory and negative beliefs integrate with the soul, the illusions disappear because there's no longer a belief or energy to sustain them. Negative beliefs or limiting beliefs can only exist in separation, and they're only held by the ego personality. They do not exist in the soul. The intention is that you want to reclaim the parts of yourself that have been believing there's something wrong with you, or you are less than, or you've done something wrong or bad, or you are imperfect and defective and deserving of lack or punishment. And that is why you have problems and suffer. Merging with the soul addresses all of these and dissolves all of these lies, all of the distortions, all of the causes of limitation and pain. The soul neutralizes them and dissolves all of them and releases the energy that was bound up in them. Pay attention to any inner voices of questioning and doubt. Acknowledge them as they arise. Embrace them. Bring the soul light around them. And say to yourself, I hold painful thoughts and feelings about myself in mercy and compassion. I hold all the painful, limiting thoughts and feelings about myself in gentle mercy and compassion. I easily relax and surrender to the light of my soul. I easily relax and surrender to the light of my soul. The light of my soul completes me. And now just listen. No matter what comes to mind, just acknowledge it and say, I bless you and surrender the need for you. If what you are addressing is negative, it will start to disintegrate. Eventually, it'll dissolve. If you bless and release something positive and surrender the need for it, you'll automatically dissolve all the resistance around it, and it will amplify and it will magnify in your life and get better. So surrender is the answer, no matter what the question, the issue, or the problem. While simultaneously holding the intention of bringing more and more light and presence of the enlightened soul in, what you're doing is bringing support, love, and light to whatever's causing difficulty. And your words and intentions are the activating trigger to enable this to happen. So repeat this thought after me and make it your own. I merge and integrate the soul's purity into my belief universe. I merge and integrate the purity of the soul into my belief universe. The belief universe, by the way, are my words for what is called the causal body. The causal body is where all your karma is stored. It's where all the causes are behind everything that manifests in your life. So you want to integrate the soul and its purity into the causal body or into the belief universe. Now listen, when you say the words, you are giving yourself permission to transform and evolve. But you must also feel into the words, into what they're activating. And this is most effectively done also when you're in a meditative state. You want to feel yourself releasing any hold on the old, previously held positions, beliefs, and judgments. So this means you must meet the words with the feelings, not just a rote repetition or an intellectual agreement with them. Feeling is really important in the manifestation process. You want the words and the feelings that the words activate to take you over, to merge your full mind, body, and feelings with the soul, embracing you with a full body hug that dissolves all the causes of limitation and lack. It is your surrender, an invitation to the soul to take over all of your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. So remember, your soul is love and light. It is your individualized expression of your divine source and the creator. And for more on this, I'll refer you to chapter 16 in my handbook for enlightenment, which lists 38 main ego needs and how you can release them. I've already led you through a little bit of that. By embracing the ego and its needs with the fully enlightened awareness of the soul, the ego does not feel threatened. Remember what I said earlier? If you try to kill it, it's going to be resistant, it's going to feel threatened, it's going to feel afraid, and it's going to do everything it can to block your attempting to dissolve it. When you come in with a fully enlightened awareness of the soul, the ego relaxes its resistance. It accepts a continuous opening, expanding, a welcoming of a healing into it, and leading to liberation and freedom. And you become aware that you are far more than the little ego ever imagined. And you feel lighter and you feel happier. You just relax and surrender more deeply, and you keep melting the fear and any sense of being stuck or having lack. And the soul knows how to do that. You just have to open up and invite it and hold an intention to allow it. The soul knows what lies beyond all your limiting beliefs. It knows what lies beyond the perceptions of the ego. It knows that what it offers is something greater and better than the ego could ever believe or imagine. It is not less than. It is not a reduction. It's an expansion. You see, when you try to let go of something, the ego wants to hold on to it because it thinks it's going to need it sometime in the future. So the ego doesn't want to let go of anything. So you have to give it a reason. And that reason is that what you're offering it is something better than what it ever imagined. It can have complete safety and security in the soul. And it can heal all of its fears and all of its limitations. And when you offer that to the ego will say, oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. You have found a way to heal all of my pain and suffering and lack and struggling and fear and anger and guilt. That's right. The soul merge process brings all of that. In fact, as the soul moves in, there's more and more of a deepening comfort, a deepening security, a deepening awareness of peacefulness. As you allow yourself to drift more deeply into surrender, you'll feel yourself opening deeper and deeper into the fullness of what love is. And you'll notice and feel a radiant light emerging from you. That is the light of your soul. It heals your aura. It heals your chakras. It does this automatically when you invite it in. It knows what needs to be done, and it knows how to do that, even if you don't. Repeat these intentions after me and make them your own. I ask the highest enlightened awareness of the soul to merge fully into my feelings of being stuck. I ask the highest enlightened awareness of the soul to merge fully into my feelings of being stuck. I ask the highest enlightened awareness of the soul to merge fully into my beliefs of being stuck. As you make the invitation to the soul to come in more and more deeply, it intelligently infiltrates deeply and thoroughly through all aspects of your consciousness that are separate. And it dissolves all the barriers that sustain the limiting beliefs. And this reveals the freedom and the fulfillment of the soul's nature. The soul is your true self. That's what you want to take over. All of your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. And the soul is really the only thing in a position to bring you into the freedom from limiting beliefs. It's the only thing that can open you to unity consciousness, because it is in unity consciousness all the time. So you invite it to fully merge into you, into all of your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. Without the soul, you're trading one ego belief for another ego belief. With the soul, you move into deep realizations of your core truth. And you can't really have it without the soul's participation. And all you have to do is ask. It couldn't be simpler. So pay attention to any voices that arise, because your inner voices are like commentaries. They're one of the clearest means the ego uses to communicate with you and tell you what it wants, tell you what it's afraid of, tell you what it needs. So the voices that you hear define what the ego is made out of and what it believes. Your inner voices are really the ego's cry for help. And they give you the clues where to go next with your process of surrendering resistance. You want all of the separate voices within you to be surrendered and dissolved. You want all thoughts, beliefs, and feelings merged into the singular will and presence, all under the orchestration of the highest enlightened awareness of the soul. And you have to invite the soul into these places where you want it to be. It does not automatically push its way in unless or until you invite it. And you want to know the reason why? Because you pushed it out through your unwitting and maybe even unconscious free will choices in the past. You actually maintain your positions automatically at a subtle subconscious level. Therefore, it takes your free will choices to invite the soul back in to all the places of resistance where you have previously pushed it out. And you pushed it out with your fear, with your anger, with your guilt, with all of your forms of resistance. Until you do this, you have an unconscious intention in place, which is keeping your soul out and the ego choices in. If you've been following me carefully during this video, you may already be noticing some sensations of some type of movement going on through you as the energy is shifting. Allow yourself to feel the response from your soul. It comes in with a peacefulness. And so it brings a relaxation in your body, a feeling of well-being, a lightness of being, a spacious expansion. Those are just some of the effects. They're all wonderful. So open your heart to receive the soul's light. Open your heart to receive the soul to fill you completely with its presence, with its light, with its love, without any conditions. Be relaxed and open. Open your heart very deeply and let the divine source of love and light pour into you and fill you with that love and light into your heart. And as it fills your heart and fills the space in you and around you and merges into your body, your aura, your chakras, you'll find that it melts all the beliefs that were sustaining lack and suffering and struggling. They melt away, and you just simply let them go, surrendering them to the clear, purifying, healing light of the soul. Say to yourself, yes, I receive and accept the love and light of the soul being given to me. Yes, I receive and accept the love and light of the soul that is being given to me. I open to receive the divine presence of the full beauty and presence of God. I open to receive the divine radiance of the full beauty and presence of God. I witness, receive, and feel the divine light of God through all cells of my consciousness. I witness, receive, and feel the divine light of God through all cells of my consciousness. I now ask all of this to integrate fully and deeply. I feel gratitude for all I have been given today. And now slowly allow yourself to come back to your present place and time, maintaining your connection with the deep place within you. And now take a deep breath and be present in your body as you exhale and come back to your totally awake and aware state. Smoothly and easily making a transition to your normal waking level. Until next time, may you be blessed with love and light always. I'm Jonathan Parker.